Okay, let's try this again.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Oh, that's not what I wanted.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, may we have roll call, please?
Yes, we may. All
We
right. We may.
Okay.
Okay, I'm having a senior moment. Councilmember Kelly.
Present.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Vice Mayor Best is absent, and Mayor Croft.
Here, thank you. Introductions, presentations, and proclamations, we have none this evening, so we'll move on to call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the council that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. The total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Is there anyone? Supervisor Brown, would you like to speak this evening?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak over here. I'm Craig Brown, District 4 Supervisor from Yavapai County. I just wanted to point out a couple things that are coming up here very shortly, more for the public than it is for you all. We're having a town hall on 10/5 over at the Senior Center. That's a Thursday night, starts at 6 o'clock. We'd like all the people that are listening in on television or radio, and anybody from Chino Valley obviously would like to come and talk to all of our department heads and see what's going on in the county. They're all welcome. Meeting will start again at 6 o'clock next Thursday night. Also wanted to bring up, and this is for everybody in the county, including everybody in Chino Valley, is that we'll be having a flu shot clinic on 10/18, and that flu shot clinic will be at Station 61 of the Chino Valley Fire Department. And we'll be giving out free flu shots to anybody who would like to get one. And I suggest to everybody that they do, flu shots are only good for about 60 days. You should probably have 2 a year. And even if you do get the flu, at least statistics show that it won't be as intense as it would have been if you didn't get one. And that's at Station 61, 1133 West, 3 North, from 10 to 12. Okay? And they're free. So please get your flu shots so we don't pass it around.
Something for free, huh?
Yeah, something for free.
That hurts your arm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Anyone else would like to speak? Well, why don't you step right up? How are you tonight? Oh, you've got 3 minutes or I'll cut you off.
All right, thank
Now,
you.
you know that as well.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Hurriaksha Gregor Knauer. I live here in Chino at 1070 North Cherokee Road. May I put to rest the tired canard we still hear over and over, that those of us defending safe yield, general sustainability, and sensible growth want to slam the gate on new people who are attempting to, or rather who are attracted to rural and small town Arizona. So the latter-day villains are not the transplants themselves as much as the developers. They come in and bulldoze the landscape, as we see over here, Willow Creek Road. They call it Antelope, believe it or not, crossing. They build with little imagination and minimal restriction. dotting their Ts and crossing their Is, taking advantage of us rubes up here in Yavapai County, smirking all the way to the bank. It's no doubt difficult to calculate impact fees to cover traffic congestion and drawdown of the aquifer and potential infrastructure needs. But if we attempt to match impact fees to real costs of maintaining a certain standard, whatever developers are assessed is not enough. When you come up with a reasonable guess, a reasonable rule of thumb is triple it. Even then, when developers pave over our natural wildlife habitat and wall off open space, the new denizens of these proposed master plan communities also will suffer a diminished quality of life. How to grow in harmony with established patterns. Frankly, an amenity I'd like to demand of residential developers is boarding stables and,
1 minute?
oh, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Equestrian trails to help preserve a horsey, Chino, and Yavapai County. Thank you.
Did you want some kind of response?
Next time, if you can compose something or come up with something.
Well, there were so many things you talked about
I
that
know.
was, yeah. Well, let me think about it.
It's not so much our poor potential neighbors or future neighbors as these damn developers who are getting away with murder or, something like it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I can't answer that because I'm not a developer, but, okay. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Darren Mahoney. Sorry to be a pain in the butt. It's like my third time up here talking. So, from the meeting on the 12th that I attended, again, thank you for letting me come up here and speak. My only issue is there was a gentleman before me, I think his name, Mr. Ronald Maines. There was an issue where he was allowed 5 minutes, and I think everybody up here knew he didn't get his 5 minutes. He got about 2 minutes to talk. And we all said something about it, that wasn't his 5 minutes. And we got the response that we need to quiet down or we'll get kicked out. So the reason I say that is after we all left here this meeting, there was a lot of people here that were thinking they're not listened to. I know quite a few people here now. The other issue I had was Councilman Mendoza. You waited to the end to make this comment about the Native Americans and the close the door behind us mentality. I don't think anybody here was talking about that. And I just felt kind of like you brought that on with the grocery store just to kind of, I don't know, it didn't fit with the agenda that we were talking about. So I wasn't able to hear, was there a meeting here last week? I don't know. So I just wanted to come today, and I'm not looking for a response. I'm just saying there was a lot of people that walked out of here and felt like they weren't listened to, and there's no need to respond to it.
Yeah, Mr. Maines did get his, because we received a letter from Mr. Maines. I correspond with him frequently, so he's not a,
Well, I just saw the look on his face like he was
Yeah.
shut down, and we were all kind of
Yeah.
stepping up for him, and I didn't see anybody else doing that.
and he has some valid things that he
Yeah.
says. So like I said, we have correspondence
Okay.
with Mr. Maines.
That's
He's-
fine.
He's
That's all I
not
just
left
wanted
out
to
in the
bring it up.
dark.
Thanks again for letting me talk.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Wayne Moyer. I live on Bumblebee. And I'd just like to voice my concerns about these park model units that are proposed. Over the years, I had trailers that I pulled with a pickup truck, almost as big as these units are. Now, my concern is, number one, I think they're on wheels. And if they are, how are they anchored? Number one, because during the monsoons, they could end up in the next county. And also, number two, the lot sizes. I don't have any problem with development. I've been in construction all my life. But to go to 7,000 square foot lots, I mean, that's really tiny. And I'd really like to see that kept at 2.5 acres. And, have a reasonable house built on it. these small units are they're gonna be worse than any, I'll say 30 or 40-year-old trailer park down the road. So, but like I say, I have nothing against development, but this is the wrong way to go about it, in my opinion. Thank you.
Did you want a response to your,
Yeah, please.
okay, and what was your name, sir?
Wayne Moyer.
How do you spell your last name?
W-A-Y-N-E,
Got
Moyer, M-O-Y-E-R.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moyer.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you for your responses. We appreciate that. Current events, summaries, and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events or ask a staff member to provide the same. Presentation on information requested by the mayor and council will be made and questions answered. No action will be taken.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I was going to speak tonight on a project in its infancy stages, developing a youth council or ambassador to council program. I was inspired by when our mayor and council went to the annual League of Cities and Towns conference in Tucson. We have great leadership, youth leadership in Chino Valley, and I look forward to providing future updates as we progress. At this time, however, I'd like to take a moment to offer my deepest condolences to the Leonards and Killstrom families on the loss of their sons. Jeremy and Spencer, these two young men graduated from Chino Valley High School last year, and they were loved by many people. Please know that my thoughts and prayers are with you. If there's anything our town can do, it is come together. We witnessed this last week also when a young family lost their home in a house fire. Our citizens rallied around them, and donations of clothing, toys, furniture, household goods came pouring in, thanks to a few people who went above and beyond leading the charge. I'm so very proud of our town and humbled yet again by our giving nature and unity despite our personal differences. To the families of Jeremy and Spencer, we're here for you too. That's all.
Mayor Croft? Mayor Croft, can we take a moment? Phyllis is asking us to dial her on the phone because she
Sure.
got disconnected.
Let's take a minute and get back on.
Having a hard time staying in there tonight.
Yeah, keeps popping out. We're Skyping in our attorney from Phoenix, and she keeps going offline. We're trying to bring her back now by phone so she can participate in the meeting.
Hello?
Hi. Can you hear
Hi.
us okay?
Yeah,
Okay. We'll do it this way.
okay.
All right. Phyllis, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through well.
Okay, great.
Anyone else in the council would like to speak to any item?
Not for me.
Okay, let's go on to town manager and staff. Town manager, do you have anything to discuss?
Believe it or not, I do not.
Wow, that's another first. Whoa. Ooh. And staff doesn't either?
No, it's all going to be
Okay,
covered.
thank you. Well, what a gift. Consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from the consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Would anyone like anything pulled from the consent agenda?
No.
Hearing none? This side? Okay, would you please read the consent items, please, Ms. Lewis?
I sure will. 6A, consideration and possible action to approve amendment to the final plat for North Chino Business Park Condominium located at 2700 North State Route 89. B, consideration and possible action to approve sewer connection agreement with Thomas M. Holliday and Sarah Holliday pertaining to sewer connection fees. C, consideration and possible action to establish an ad hoc council UDO update subcommittee consisting of Councilmember Turner as chair, Councilmembers Mendoza and Kelly, to work with a staff working group to update conflicting provisions in the Unified Development Ordinance. And D, consideration and possible action to accept the September 12, 2017 regular meeting minutes.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to action items. The council may vote to recess the public meeting, hold an executive session on any item on this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A3 for the purpose of discussion or consultation for legal advice with the town attorney. Executive sessions are not open to the public. No action may be taken in executive session. Let's go to agenda item A, consideration possible action to approve a lease agreement between the town of Chino Valley and the Boys and Girls Club of Central Arizona for the use of the community center for after-school and summer youth programs. Mr. Bruner.
Evening, Mayor and Council. At the last council meeting, you were introduced to the lease agreement contract with the Boys and Girls Club concerning the shared use facility at the community center. Tonight, I'd like to introduce to you the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Central Arizona, Mr. Gerald Shostak. And I'm sure Gerald would be willing to answer any questions that Mayor and Council may have. Gerald?
Thank you, Scott. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. As Scott said, I'm always up for questions. I know Boys and Girls Club has not been in Chino for a very long time. I've been with the organization for almost 4 years and led a restructuring of the organization, and we have been very fortunate to have a lot of great community partners and, just add this one to the organization, because from the first day that I was contacted by the town of Chino for a possible partnership, I tell you what, I've worked with a lot of different municipalities down in Phoenix, and this has been one of the greatest pleasures to work with a group like who you've hired and lead, because it's always been smooth sailing for working with towns and cities. So we're very excited to be in Chino. Do you have any questions for me at all? I mean, we met with almost 30 kids today in Chino High School to get their thoughts and feedback about what they want in their club.
When do you expect to move into the center and start your activities?
Do you mind? Oh, sorry, okay.
Mayor, the facility isn't ready quite yet.
Yeah,
We're
I know it
putting the
isn't,
floor
but that's
down.
what I...
We expect that to be completed probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know
Okay.
when Mr. Will be ready to move the Boys and Girls Club in, but the improvements aren't done yet.
Okay.
It is looking it's looking great. I was just there. I just stopped in there today
Oh,
just
good.
to see, and the flooring's going in. We're just excited. I talked with Scott today, and I said, no hurries, get it done right. If you need to, we can move in whenever you guys are ready, because there is things that we can do behind the scenes, like working with the kids at Chino High School to start an advisory board. So we'll be ready to go, and gives us a little bit more time, depending on what kind of feedback we get from the kids, to make purchases, whether they just want to, see a lot of Xboxes up there with, computers
please
and
no.
those kinds of things. So, don't worry, Councilmember Lane, we don't just sit them in front of a TV. That's how we hook them first. And then that's when we start doing stuff with them once they
You
know
reel
that.
'em in.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions or anything like that?
I don't have any questions. I just like to welcome you and glad that you're here. We've looked into this. I guess it was, about 5 years ago, we looked into the possibilities of this, and it didn't look like it was a viable way to go. And so I'm glad to see the tables turned and that we're going to have an opportunity to partner with you and make a better better situation for the kids in the community.
We appreciate, and our board and our board president is really behind this project. They're very excited about this, just because of the fact that as an organization, we haven't really served teens the best way that the Boys and Girls Club knows how. And this is just kind of a start for us with our teen programming in the Quad Cities.
Can I go? I just wanted to inform you that Councilman Lane and Mendoza have both been voluntold that they'll be in the Dancing with the Stars. And they're accepted.
I cannot hold a candle to Mackenzie. I need to. I'm down, but.
All right, okay. You're on the list now. We
Only
are
if
actually.
Corey does it.
He'll be there. I'll get him there.
Okay, good. Actually, one of our events that we do now that we have a Chino presence is we would love to have to get Chino members. I don't care, business, town members, and part of the club, and maybe our governance as well. So you know what's going on with the organization.
I think that's a good idea, and I think if you ask around, you might find some member of this council that might be interested in doing that.
And
Great.
Whatever do you mean?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank
to
you
Chino.
very much
Thank
for
you.
coming, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Did we vote on that yet, or we just talked?
No,
We haven't,
approved.
okay.
Let me read it.
Yeah, it's the, okay, make a motion that we approve the lease agreement between the town and Boys and Girls Club of Central Arizona for use of the community center for after-school summer youth programs.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's go on to item B,
I need
consider.
to recuse myself.
Okay. Councilmember Miller is going to recuse himself because he has a vested interest in this next item. So he's going to go down and sit in the audience. Consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 17838, approving a zone change from ARS 5 agriculture residential 5-acre minimum to SR 2.5 single-family residential 2.5-acre minimum for approximately 7 acres of real property generally located at the northeast corner of Bacon Lane and West Road 4 North at 3060 Bacon Lane and identified as Yavapai County Accessor Partial Number 30604-009R. The applicant is Carol Osterman. Mr. Lerma.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Before you have a proposed zone change. The applicant, Mr. Jack Miller, has applied and requested a zone change to the subject property. And the subject property is located approximately 750 feet from State Route 89 going westbound. It is located on the corner of Bacon Lane and West Road 4 North. Identified with the address of 3065 Bacon Lane. The property is approximately 7 acres. It is currently zoned agriculture residential 5-acre minimum, and it has a land use designation of commercial multifamily residential under the general plan potential land use map. Currently, the residence has a barn here, a home here, and a shop here. This residential unit is no longer there. The surrounding area is identified as agriculture residential, low density residential, and commercial zoning districts. To the north of the property, we can identify commercial light agriculture residential 5-acre minimum, and commercial light. The land uses there are that of vacant land, single-family residence. We have the Jehovah's Witness Church over here, and we have Drill Tech Inc. further to the north. To the west, we have the zoning of agriculture residential 5-acre minimum and single-family residential 7,000 square foot minimum. We have vacant land and residential units as well. To the south, we have commercial light. Land uses there are residential. Americ Gas is over here. Del Rio Drilling and Pump, and Clayton Homes, and Vasco. To the east, we have agriculture residential 5-acre minimum, commercial light, and single-family residential 5,000 square foot minimum. Land uses there are residential, vacant land, and Lucy's Bar and Grill right in the corner of 89. The reason for the zone change is the applicant is proposing to, after he gets the zone change, to do a lot split. The 7-acre lot will be created into two separate parcels, both reflecting 3.5 acres. We've brought this subject beforehand. I believe it was last time. But we've sat down and discussed with Mr. Miller the limitations of a lot split. As we see here, it's section 5.2.6 of the Unified Development Ordinance discusses the restrictions and limitations of a lot split. Section A states that all parcels or lots created in a land split must meet a minimum parcel size applicable under the current zoning of the lots or parcels created by the lot split. In this case, we're talking about the proposed underlying zoning of single-family residential 2.5-acre minimum. As stated here, the minimum lot area is 2.5 acres. Mrs. Osterman's property will be meeting that because both parcels are going to be 3.5 acres. And the lot frontage has to meet at least 100 feet. Mrs. Osterman's property, as shown here in the land survey, will reflect 267.3 feet of lot frontage, so they're well within those restrictions. The proposed section B states that the proposed lot splits may not create any new non-conforming buildings. As shown here in the land survey, we see again that there's one building here, the shop. The building setback here is 50 feet. That's well within 50 feet. We have the stable there. That's well within 50 feet. Give me just a minute. They're well within the 10 feet setback on the sides and the 20 in the rear. The only one that is a legal non-conforming use or a legal non-conforming use building is the house that's already there. But by creating the actual split, no new legal non-conforming use buildings are going to be created. And section C, just to summarize, all lots need to have a legal access through a public street. And as shown in the land survey, both parcels are abutting Road 4 North. Staff believes that the zone change is not going to have a negative impact on the surrounding properties. The single-family residential 2.5-acre minimum is still considered a low-density zoning. The proposed zoning will also serve that as a transition from a low density to a low density to a little bit in between the high density and the medium density, or that of a less density agriculture zoning district. The applicant had a neighborhood meeting on July the 31st here at Town Hall. No surrounding property owners or the general public attended that meeting. The item was before the Planning and Zoning Commission last month, and the commissioners had no issues with the proposed zoning, and they voted unanimously with a 6-0 vote. The applicant is here. If you, council, mayor, have any questions or any questions you might have on myself.
Questions?
No.
Questions?
None.
Do I have a motion?
You will have. Okay, we'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 17-838, approving a zone change from AR 5 to SR 2.5 zoning district for approximately 7 acres of real property at 3065 Bacon Lane.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Let's go on to item C, consideration of possible action to approve change order number 2 to the agreement with Civil Tech Engineering Incorporated for Old Home Manor Industrial Park improvement for additional engineering and contract administration services in the amount of $12,850. Mr. Straub.
Mayor, Council, for the past 7 months, we have been under construction with our Old Home Manor Road utility project. Our engineer of record and design engineer, Civil Tech, has been asked by the town to do considerable extra work to support various issues that have come up associated with this project. One issue I would just like to briefly share with you. In order to get a permit to build out in the Santa Cruz Wash, the federal government asked us to submit the final as-built plans showing that we did not affect the drainage in the Santa Cruz Wash before we could get a permit to actually build the structure. It took us 6 weeks to convince the federal government that we build the structure first, then we do the as-built surveys. That's just one example of additional work that we have had to ask our engineer to do that he unfortunately should not have had to do. There have been a lot of retests. There's been a lot of issues that we've asked him to look into, provide recommendations to us. He has performed very well in doing this. We have been negotiating this price down. We feel this is a very reasonable amount to ask for all the additional work that he has had to do with this project. We do hope in the next month or so we should be finished with this project. We're about 98%. So hopefully we will be finished shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Straub. Do we have questions on this side?
I am aware of several of the changes out there, so I think this is completely justified.
No question.
No questions this side? Is there a motion?
Okay. Make a motion to approve change order number 2 to the agreement with Civil Tech Engineering Incorporated for Old Home Manor Industrial Park improvements for additional engineering services and contract administration in the amount of $12,850.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to the next item. No executive session this evening. Adjournment, someone?
I'll
I make a motion.
we adjourn.
Second.
I have 2 motions and I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Pardon?
Jack, you
You won
always
the
beat
pool?
me. He always beats me.